If you want a vacation that involves riding roller coasters, drinking $5,000 cocktails, and traveling the seven seas, your only option is to book a trip on a cruise ship. These floating hotels are longer than skyscrapers and they're filled with unbelievably luxurious features. So today we're going to set sail and cruise through bionic bartenders, top deck go-karts, and the only planetarium at sea as we take a look inside the world's largest cruise ships. Worship the icon. Instead of width or length, the ship's size can be measured by its gross tonnage, which is a measure of its internal volume. The bigger the GT, the more space there is inside a boat, and the largest cruise ship by far is currently Royal Caribbean's Icon of the Seas. Its 248,663 gross tons make it 5 times larger than the Titanic, and at 1,196 feet long, the vessel is just 54 feet shorter than the Empire State Building. This space allows it to house 7,600 guests, and they're kept entertained in 8 themed neighborhoods. Thrill Island boasts rock climbing walls in Category 6, which is officially the largest water park at sea. It has 6 slides, including Frightening Bolt, which places riders into a hatch 46 feet above the top deck before ripping the floor away and dropping them into a slide. While the kids ride these death-defying slides, neglectful parents can sneak away to the Hideaway, an adults-only neighborhood with an infinity pool, a DJ, and a dedicated bar. Then, when it's time to sober up at dinner, there are over 20 restaurants on board, including Mediterranean cuisine at The Grove or Mexican at El Loco Fresh. Most of these restaurants are included in your ticket price, and so is the Icon's onboard entertainment. You can watch Olympic-level ice skaters perform on the boat's giant rink, or you can have a dance at the 2-story music venue, Music Hall. Every night on the Icon will end in luxury, as even the boat's cheapest rooms come with a queen-size bed and an en-suite bathroom. Or if you want to really splash out, you can stay in the ultimate family suite, a 2-story palace with a private movie theater, an air hockey table, and a short slide. The suite costs $100,000 a week, which is a bit outside my price range. But a week-long trip in a regular room is more affordable at $1,800. And the ship currently cruises from Miami to several Caribbean islands, including the Bahamas. The Icon is the biggest and best boat in the Royal Caribbean's fleet. However, they're already constructing a ship to surpass it. The Star of the Seas is planned to set sail in August 2025, and the $2 billion boat will be a whopping 250,800 gross tons. The rooms, restaurants, and entertainment options are set to be near identical to the Icon, but it will be marginally bigger, officially taking the crown as the new ruler of Royal Caribbean's kingdom. Second best in class. The Icon isn't the only giant vessel in Royal Caribbean's fleet, and the next 5 largest cruise ships in the world all belong to their Oasis class of boats. They're the Wonder, Symphony, Harmony, Oasis, and Allure of the Seas. And despite slight differences in size, they all offer near identical restaurants, activities, and accommodation. The Wonder is the largest at 235,600 gross tons, and its 1,188-foot hull is around 100 foot longer than the Eiffel Tower. This enormous boat can hold 7,084 passengers, and it has a long list of activities to keep them entertained. At the very back of all Oasis-class ships sits the Aqua Theater, an 18-foot deep swimming pool that's used for water shows involving diving platforms and high wires. But if watching death-defying stunts isn't enough to get your blood pumping, then you can take a ride on the Wonder's zip line suspended 9 floors above the bottom deck, or shred some artificial gnar on the boat's surfing simulator Flow Rider. Of course, the laziest passengers just want to overeat and get drunk, and the Oasis class's 20 dining options include luxurious 3-course meals at 150 Central Park and stiff cocktails at the Bionic Bar, which is staffed by drink-pouring robots. After drinking a few bottles of beer, you can sleep it off in your room, and the Oasis class boats have the same luxury accommodation as the Icon of the Seas, including the ultimate family suite. Don't drink too much before riding the slide though, you don't want to hurl in your $100,000 room. Whoa, what's this? It's only our brand new fun and frantic trivia card game we've been developing for years. We've packed it full of all our most interesting facts, and whenever another player thinks you're wrong, they can cut you off with a catastrophic nuh-uh. Steal your opponent's cards and risk your own and nuh-uh. And if trivia isn't your strong suit, don't worry. All the questions in nuh-uh are multiple choice, meaning eggheads and non-eggheads alike stand a chance. Crazy game-altering powers like switcheroo, flip-flop, and piggyback add extra layers of strategy, deception, and chaos to the experience. We've toiled playtesting and tweaking nuh-uh for countless hours, and each and every game was its own fun, wacky adventure. Oh, and we've designed and printed it to perfection. Look, that's me on the box over there. So, what are you waiting for? Instead of tolerating dry conversation this Thanksgiving with your know-it-all Uncle Kev, put him in his place with a well-timed nuh-uh. This Black Friday, you can get the base game and the Science and Nature expansion pack, adding over 200 more questions for only $25. That's a whopping 25% discount for our quickest, most loyal fans over Black Friday only. Click the link in the description or on screen now to order your copy today. Nuh-uh makes an excellent gift this Thanksgiving. Our stock is limited, so order now while supplies last. Okay, now let's get back to your regularly scheduled programming. Euroship. Let's take this cruise worldwide and sail to the ports of Europe and the Middle East. The MSC World Europa is a ship that currently sails around the Mediterranean with stops in Italy, Spain, and the south of France. However, its maiden voyage was to the 2022 FIFA World Cup in Qatar, when it functioned as a giant floating hotel for visiting soccer fans. Using the Europa as a hotel makes sense, as its 215,000 gross tons give it room for 6,762 passengers. The boat's accommodation rivals any luxury hotel, and the richest hooligan was treated to a king-size bed and a private hot tub in the ship's fanciest room, the MSC Yacht Club Owner's Suite. When the soccer fans returned from watching a game, they could soak in the ship's 7 swimming pools or unwind in the sauna at the Aurea Spa. Then they could celebrate their team's victory in the Panorama Lounge, a music venue with an interactive LED dance floor. The boat isn't just a pretty face, and a 7-day Mediterranean cruise in a single-bed cabin is comparatively affordable at around $960. Furthermore, the Europa was designed to be eco-friendly, and its engine runs on liquefied natural gas, which produces 30% less CO2 than oil. The boat also contains a hydroponic garden it's used to supply a restaurant ran by Michelin-starred chef Nicholas Ekstedt. This literally makes the ship greener than most boats, but I can't help but feel that delicious food was wasted on the British soccer fans. They'd probably prefer baked beans on toast. Mamma Mia. Italy is famous for its ancient architecture, but they still build amazing things like the 8th largest cruise ship in the world, the 185,010 gross ton Costa Smeralda. Its 1,100-foot hull is 5 times longer than the Tower of Pisa, and the boat aims to give its 6,500 passengers an authentic Italian experience. A day on board can involve fine Italian wine at the Frescobaldi tasting experience, authentic pizza at the Pizzeria Pomodoro, and gelato at the Gelateria Amarillo. Furthermore, the boat's chefs will teach you authentic Italian recipes with cooking lessons at the Ristorante Lab, letting you learn how to make pasta just like your mama used to make. If the idea of cooking your own food on vacation makes you want to complain to the manager, fear not, Karen. The boat will make several stops in Italy during its Mediterranean cruise, allowing you to hop off and try the food in Genoa, Naples, and Venice instead. Cruise ships are actually banned from entering Venice because the waves they generate damage the foundations around its canal network. However, cruise ships like the Smeralda specifically visit the nearby port of Marghera so their passengers can make a short trip to the floating city. Back on board, you can visit the Costa Design Collection Museum on the Smeralda's 7th deck, which contains exhibitions on the history of Italian design. It's a part of Costa's goal of bringing Italian culture to the seven seas, and the company's mission is succeeding, as the next largest cruise ship is the Smeralda's sister vessel, the Costa Toscana. The Toscana's features are similar to the Smeralda's, so let's say pasta la vista to Italy and jump ahead to 10th place, as we visit another country that's gained a reputation for the quality of its food. Rule Britannia. Britannia used to rule the waves, and today their largest cruise ship is the P&O Arvia, a 184,700 gross ton vessel that's so British that its promotional videos show it sailing on a cloudy day. The ship can accommodate 5,200 lads and ladettes, and its luxury suites let them live like the royal family as they travel with swanky bathrooms and balconies. Surprisingly, the food on board isn't all baked beans and blood pudding, as the Arvia attempts to destigmatize British cuisine. Food options include hook, line, and vinegar, which serves up classic fish and chips, or the sendu, which represents the UK's love of Indian curry. However, if you're still terrified of eating British food, you can head for the American 6th Street Diner or skip dinner and take part in another great British pastime, drinking alcohol. The Arvia has an onboard distillery where they make their own gin and rum, or you can sink some pints at Brody's Pub like a geezer before channeling James Bond and sipping shaken martinis at the 710 Club Cocktail Bar. The Arvia also has great sober activities with 4 swimming pools, mini-golf, and the Skywalk, which is a high-rope obstacle course suspended 177 feet above the ocean. If you're scared of heights, you can head to the 8th deck and check out Mission Control, which is an hour-long submarine-themed escape room. It was the first escape room at sea, but it does cost an extra $25 per person, and top tip, you can get a similar experience for free by getting rowdy at Brody's Pub and getting locked in the brig. Happy escaping! $1 Million Cruise. Now that we've traveled on the largest cruise ships, let's move on to the most expensive. The 55,000 gross ton Regent 7 Seas Explorer is around 4.5 times smaller than the Icon of the Seas, but it's arguably the most luxurious cruise ship ever built, and the proof is in its fanciest room, the Regent Suite. The 4,000 square foot room has 2 paintings by Picasso, a bar, and the first private sauna on a cruise ship. It costs $10,000 per night, and in 2021, the ship offered a 123-night cruise around Dubai, New Zealand, and Tokyo. So staying in the Regent Suite cost an eye-watering $1.23 million. This is officially the most expensive cruise in history, and for context, that money would let you stay on the Icon of the Seas for around 11 years straight. Even the cheapest room on the Explorer costs $7,000 a week with a queen-size bed and a private balcony, so it's impossible to stay without breaking the bank. However, all of its luxury experiences are included with your ticket, including musical shows at the Constellation Theater, drinks at the Cigar Lounge, and premium meals at the Boats Steakhouse Prime 7. As you'd expect, it's a seriously exclusive ship. There's space for just 750 passengers on board, and the CEO of Regent 7 Seas has stated that it's exclusively for 1%ers, showing that the only thing the Explorer really wants to explore is the depths of its customers' bank accounts. Speed and splendor. The Titanic is the most iconic ship of all time, but due to a pesky iceberg, nobody's been able to cruise on it since 1912. Still, the boat's spirit lives on in the Queen Mary II, a 149,000 gross ton vessel that was the largest passenger ship in the world when she was built in 2004. Like the Titanic, the QM2 is an ocean liner which serves a slightly different function to a standard cruise ship. Instead of cruising around multiple countries, ocean liners transport you to one specific destination, and they were the best way to cross an ocean until commercial air travel took off in the 1950s. The QM2 is the only liner still in service, and she's primarily used to transport up to 2,695 passengers between New York and Southampton, England. She has a stronger, deeper hull than any cruise ship to handle the rough Atlantic Ocean, and she's also the fastest passenger ship in the world, making the 3,600-mile voyage in just 5 days. Talk about Usain Bolt. Don't be fooled though, this liner is still incredibly luxurious. And during the voyage, you can attend classical music concerts, formal gala balls, and the world's first planetarium at sea. The grandest accommodation includes the two-story Balmoral suite, and the room's dining spaces, walk-in closets, and vintage designs allow you to cross the Atlantic while recreating the glamour of the past with modern safety standards. So you can live out your Titanic fantasies without finishing your cruise on a floating door. Elitist explorers. Shipbuilding has come a long way since the Titanic, and today we have cruise ships that are designed to sail through ice. An icebreaker is a ship that can travel through freezing regions like the Arctic thanks to a specialized hull that's designed to climb on top of thick ice and break it under the ship's weight. They're often used as scientific research vessels, but Le Commandant Charcot is a 31,757 gross ton cruise ship that's currently the only luxury icebreaker in the world. Its 2-week cruises take the elite to the world's most inhospitable locations for $50,000, and its ability to carve through ice that's 8.5 feet thick allowed it to become the first passenger ship to reach the North Pole in 2021. Unlike most Arctic explorers, the passengers on this voyage got to indulge in heated swimming pools, a movie theater, a spa, and a restaurant created by the Michelin-starred chef Alain Ducasse. Furthermore, the ship's luxurious owner suite comes with a private hot tub, champagne on arrival, and a daily delivery of freshly made canapés. The ship does double as a genuine research vessel, and there are scientists on each cruise working in onboard laboratories and performing experiments in the wilderness. However, the ship is primarily catered to the elite, and its luxurious features allow them to feel like adventurers while staying in unbelievable comfort. Ahoy, mateys! Most cruise ships allow you to travel like a king, but this next vessel lets you explore the seven seas like an old-timey pirate. The Golden Horizon is currently the largest square-rigged sailing vessel in the world at 8,784 gross tons. The cruise ship's hull is 531 feet long, and its 36 sails give it a top speed of 20 knots, just 1 knot slower than the engine-powered Icon of the Seas. Unlike most pirate ships, the Horizon offers its 330 guests incredibly lavish accommodation. The owner's suites have balconies and walk-in wardrobes in a 485 square foot space that's as large as the average studio apartment. Then when you leave the room, you can indulge in the ship's 3 swimming pools, sauna, and library. But unfortunately, you can't man the deck in your homemade pirate costume because there's a dress code that requires the passengers to wear smart casual clothing from 6 p.m. The Golden Horizon is tailored to the rich, but it does have a pirate's curse, and the ship's barely sailed since being built in 2019. See, its owner, Tradewind Voyages, owes around $61 million to the Russian bank VTB and thousands of dollars in unpaid wages to their staff. So the boat was seized and impounded until they can pay off their debt. Shiver me timbers, that's a lot of booty. But if Tradewind eventually pay the debt, the Horizon's first cruise is set to explore the Caribbean, so buying a ticket might be our best chance to finally sail the seas like Captain Jack Sparrow, if he wore slacks and a polo shirt. Cruise ship coaster. We've looked at some of the fanciest schmanciest boats in the world, but if champagne and caviar ain't your style, then don't worry, because some cruises don't take themselves so seriously. Carnival Cruise Lines offers an experience that's completely geared around fun, and their largest ship is the 183,521 gross ton Carnival Celebration. Their advertising campaigns have featured Shaquille O'Neal, and in 2021 they became the first cruise line to offer an onboard roller coaster. Bolt is available on 3 of Carnival's ships, including the Celebration, and the thrill ride allows passengers to shoot around the top deck at at 40 miles per hour. From there, the celebration has almost every entertainment option you can think of, including a nightclub, an arcade, and a sky zone with basketball hoops and trampolines. You can even star in a genuine game show by playing the boat's licensed version of Family Feud with a live audience. A week-long cruise in an interior room starts at around $530 per person, but all the main restaurants are included in the cost, including Guy Fieri's Burger Joint and Shaq's Big Chicken. The celebrity-endorsed food is unlikely to win any Michelin stars, but it sounds delicious, and I hope Bolt has loose seatbelts. After a week eating the celebration's cuisine, I'll have to squeeze on. Top Deck Racing. Some cruise ships are like floating amusement parks, and the 170,000 gross ton Norwegian Encore lets you have high-octane fun on the open ocean with its top deck go-kart track. Go-karts are featured on 3 of Norwegian Cruise Line ships, and all of them let passengers race across the top deck at up to 30 miles per hour for $15 per ride. But the fun doesn't stop there, and the Encore's top deck also features a giant laser tag arena that's themed after the mythical city of Atlantis, and Ocean Loops, a water slide with 2 360-degree spins. Once you're done sliding, burning rubber, and blasting your family, you can relax in the Haven, an exclusive area at the top of the ship that contains its fanciest rooms. The penthouses here cost around $5,000 a week, and they come with king-sized beds, a dining area, and a personal butler who'll attend to your every need throughout the cruise. He probably won't nurse you back to health if you crash your go-kart though, so take it easy on the corners. Wish upon a ship. Disney World is one of the most popular tourist attractions on Earth, but it turns out Mickey wants to conquer land and sea. The Disney Cruise Line has 5 ships, and the largest is the Wish, a 144,000 gross ton vessel that's essentially a floating Disney park. Disney's beloved characters walk around the boat's decks, restaurants, and swimming pools to interact with guests, and there's themed accommodations like the Tower Suite, which is located in the top of the ship's funnel. The room costs over $30,000 for a 4-day cruise, and it features a private library, a stocked bar, and multiple bedrooms with decor inspired by the movie Moana. Instead of climbing Rapunzel's hair, you access the suite through a private elevator, giving you a luxury experience fit for a princess. Outside of the room, you can visit the ship's Hyperspace Lounge, a Star Wars-themed bar with digital windows into space. The menu is full of themed cocktails, including the Kyber Crystal, a cognac-based drink that costs an eye-watering $5,000. You'll have to wish upon a star to afford the cocktail, but ordering it also comes with exclusive themed merchandise and tickets to visit Skywalker Ranch, George Lucas's personal workplace in California. This gives you another vacation to go on when you return to shore. But still, if you combine this with 4 days in the Tower Suite, your stay on the Wish is going to set you back $35,000, which is a steep price to stay on a boat that's infested with mice. Never-ending cruise. The worst part of every vacation is the end. So in 2000, a shipping magnate called Nut Closter developed a unique cruise ship that allows you to stay on board forever. MS The World is a residential ship that functions like a luxury apartment building, constantly sailing around the globe. The passengers actually buy and own the rooms on board, but it's incredibly exclusive, and to gain access you need to be invited by a current resident and have a net worth of at least $10 million. The most expensive properties on board cost $15 million, but for that money you get a genuine 3-bed apartment that's roughly the size of a tennis court. Furthermore, you can renovate that massive space however you like by putting up wallpaper or remodeling the kitchen. A housekeeper takes care of all the chores, so the guests can spend all their time playing on the boat's putting green, gym, tennis court, and pool on the top deck. 142 families live on board, and the boat stops at a new destination every week, allowing the guests to spend their entire lives traveling the globe from the comfort of a private home. To think, all I see from my crummy apartment's window is my neighbor's fire escape. Conceptual cruises. Cruise ships are true feats of engineering, but unfortunately they're terrible for the environment, emitting more carbon emissions per mile than any other form of commercial transport. Luckily, some people are attempting to remedy this by developing luxury cruise ships that will protect and even help rebuild the environment. Earth 300 is a concept by the entrepreneur Aaron Oliveira that will combine the best features from cruise ships and scientific research boats. The 980-foot-long vessel will charge VIPs $3 million for a 10-day cruise in its luxury suites, and the money will be used to fund the research of 160 climate scientists who constantly live on board. As the vessel travels the globe, the Brainiacs will conduct environmental research inside the Science Sphere, a 13-story structure on the top deck that's packed with 22 laboratories and research stations. They'll study the most remote parts of the ocean while the VIPs travel like kings, and incredibly, the boat is actually being developed and construction is expected to start in the near future. Earth 300 will be powered with a nuclear reactor, a form of energy that produces zero carbon emissions. However, it isn't the only eco-friendly way to power a boat, and the Sea Orbiter is another conceptual research ship that's completely powered with wind turbines and solar panels. The ship is 190 feet tall, and the most of that height extends under the surface, allowing a team of 22 scientists to observe marine wildlife from underwater labs. The scientists would live on board the boat full-time, but the Sea Orbiter is strictly a research vessel, and it was never planned to take commercial passengers. Either way, the project's planned budget was $48 million, but they only raised $466,000 via crowdfunding, so construction was put on hold in 2015. There's a good chance that the Sea Orbiter will never set sail, but it isn't the only cruise ship concept that doesn't actually exist. Images of this gigantic vessel have gone viral online as it towers over all the other ships in the dock. However, the USS Thickums isn't real, and it's actually just a Photoshop of Royal Caribbean's Allure of the Seas. Similarly, the gigantic Double Trouble cruise ship in this viral image is actually just the MSC Seaside with its decks duplicated and the branding removed. Both of these boats have been edited to look even larger than their real-life counterparts. But interestingly, one of the most widely shared photos of the Royal Caribbean Symphony of the Seas is an edited image where the middle of the ship has been cut out and 5 floors have been added to its height. This shows that lots of the craziest cruise ships you see online don't actually exist, and even if they did, I'm not sure I'd want to stay on them. Sure, this convertible Symphony of the Seas is pretty unusual, but what's the point in staying on a cruise ship without a top deck? Where would the go-karts and roller coasters go? Turtle power. Cruise companies constantly compete to have the most unique features and attractions possible, but to the untrained eye, all cruise ships just look like giant boats, and none of them are as unique as this next conceptual vessel that would let you travel the world on the back of a giant turtle. This is the Pangios, the Terra Yacht by Lazzarini Design, a gigantic cruise ship concept that's over 1,800 feet long and 2,000 feet wide. With a capacity of 60,000 passengers, the concept is essentially a seafaring city, and it's intended to hold entire hotels, parks, and an airport. The designers plan for some passengers to live on board the boat full-time, and they want it to sail around the globe forever without docking, as it's perpetually powered with solar panels that cover its gigantic roof. The boat is projected to cost $8 billion to build, which seems like a lot. But in comparison, the Icon of the Seas costs just $2 billion, and its hull is roughly 14 times smaller than the Pangios in square footage. So this price tag is actually suspiciously low, and it isn't the only red flag that's waving around the project. There currently isn't a large enough dry dock on Earth to build Pangios, so construction on the project literally can't start until a new record-breaking shipyard is built in Saudi Arabia. The plans for this so-called Terra shipyard haven't been approved, but despite this, Lazzarini claimed that they'll be ready to start construction on Pangios in 2033, and the project will only take 8 years to complete. These claims are pretty outlandish, but even if they do manage to build Pangios one day, I hope the final design is more stable than it looks. After all, turtles and boats don't do well when they're flipped onto their backs. Well, I feel seasick, and I think it's time to end our voyage through the world's largest cruise ships. Which insane vessel was your favorite? Let me know in the comments below, and thanks for watching.